As you've probably gathered, I'm not a big fan of jargon, but I'd like to introduce you to one particular piece of clean language jargon that I think you'll find interesting and useful. It's the concept of modelling. Now, when we talk about modelling in clean language terms, we're not talking about being a supermodel, being a model. We're talking about making a model, building a model, like a model aeroplane. But rather than taking bits of plastic and sticking them together, we're taking the metaphors that make up someone's internal world and building a picture which somehow represents what's going on for them. So the kind of model it is, it's typically, though not always, a metaphorical model. But it is definitely a model of the inside of someone's mind. I've talked before about clean language being like DIY brain imaging. Well, modelling is the process of creating that image of what's going on inside someone's system. Now, your source of information for all of this is the client. It's the person you're listening to. So you can't really do this unless you have the consent of the other person. So I think I've mentioned before, but let me mention it again. If the other person is not interested in telling you, you're not going to get to find out. So you need to build rapport, you need to be in agreement with the other person that they're okay with discovering this information. And why might you want to model the inside of someone's mind? Well, you might want to find out what motivates them, what interests them, what excites them, because at a later stage you want to use that information to influence them. You might want to copy them. So, for example, I once modelled somebody who was very good at public speaking, and for him, when he was speaking in front of a group, it was like he was in a magic bubble and nothing untoward could reach him. And he could see clearly out and breathe clear air. And when I wanted to do some good public speaking, I would picture those same metaphors and take them on board myself. Now, if you've done the NLP, you'll be familiar with that idea as NLP modelling, but we do that same process using clean language. But the bit that's probably different in clean language to anything you've come across before is that in clean language, the client gets to find out, probably for the first time, what's really going on for themselves. And when you know how you do something, when you understand what's happening, and the lights come on inside your inner world, well, all kinds of doors open, because it means that you can perhaps decide to do things slightly differently, or decide how this skill is useful, or when it might be valuable and when you might want to change it. It can be the first step in making transformational change in a person's life. Now, in that context, when you're talking about modelling someone's world to help them understand how it is for themselves in order that they might change, that is called therapeutic modelling.